Well, that door finally slammed shut, and Harry was on the wrong side of it. The entire royal drama changed forever because this was never just another family disagreement. This was the collapse of the last bridge still standing between two brothers whose relationship had already been wrecked by years of accusations, interviews, books, leaks, and public attacks. And according to the growing whispers surrounding the situation, Harry may have crossed a line so serious that even Catherine, the one person believed to have kept hope alive for reconciliation, finally decided enough was enough.
Harry has such a cheek that he is now piling the pressure on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to step in and try and save his failing relationship with Prince William, not understanding that it's over, brother. It is gone. Finito. Just accept it.
They've choked off any information Harry and Meghan had, which is all the currency they had to sell. They have no more royal news to sell, and they're slowly going down the tubes. They've lost everything.
Why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it to Oprah, and always seems to have varying recollection?
For years, many believed Catherine was the quiet peacemaker working behind palace walls, while William seemed increasingly fed up. While Charles reportedly kept his distance, Catherine was often portrayed as the one person who still remembered the bond Harry and William once shared. She understood the pain of family division. She understood what losing that connection could truly mean. And because of that, she allegedly refused to shut the door completely. Not wide open, not exactly welcoming, but not entirely closed either. Yet, something changed. Something finally snapped. And suddenly, the woman who had spent years trying to preserve peace reportedly reached a conclusion that shocked even royal observers. Harry had crossed a boundary that simply could not be uncrossed.
But was particularly upset about what Harry said about Kate. He is fiercely protective of her and will find it hard to ever get over it and have a proper relationship with his brother.
For years, many believed Catherine was the quiet peacemaker behind palace walls, while William appeared increasingly frustrated. While Charles reportedly kept his distance, Catherine was often portrayed as the person who still remembered the bond Harry and William once shared. She understood the pain of family division. She understood what losing that connection could truly mean. And because of that, she allegedly refused to slam the door completely. Not wide open, not exactly welcoming, but not entirely closed either. Yet something changed. Something snapped. And suddenly, the woman who had spent years trying to maintain peace reportedly reached a conclusion that shocked even royal observers. Harry had crossed a boundary that simply could not be uncrossed. Now think about the timing for a second. Catherine was fighting the most personal battle of her life. She was recovering, rebuilding, and protecting her family while facing relentless public scrutiny. Then came fresh headlines, fresh stories, and fresh discussions involving private family matters. To many observers, the timing felt impossible to ignore. Why now? Why when the family was already under enormous pressure? Why when healing should have been
that Kate was the last senior royal to hold out hope for a reconciliation, but that Harry's public comments about King Charles's cancer diagnosis were her final straw. Wakeford writes, the picture that emerges is of a family in which the most emotionally generous member finally ran out of patience, and the most instinctively decisive member had already drawn.
And that is where this royal saga becomes even more explosive, because the rumors suggest Harry is now trying to use the very person he allegedly hurt as his pathway back into the family. Just think about that for a second. After years of tension, years of public battles, endless accusations, and competing narratives, the same Catherine who reportedly endured the fallout is suddenly being described as the one person capable of fixing everything. The irony is absolutely stunning. The contradiction is impossible to ignore. Why would the person caught in the middle be expected to save the situation? Why should the burden fall on her? Once again, the more people ask those questions, the more uncomfortable the answers seem to become.
Dan Wakeford says, Harry wants a reconciliation. He regrets the things he said in the book, the documentary, and doing that again is off the table. Yeah, right. What's heartbreaking is he kind of hoped that William would stumble a little and reach out and need him. I don't know if I believe this. He's got no avenue to communicate with him. However, the expert claimed it cannot happen as Harry reportedly no longer even has William's phone number.
But behind palace walls, an entirely different reality may be unfolding. Sources and commentators keep pointing toward one simple truth that nobody seems eager to say out loud. Reconciliation requires trust. And trust is exactly what appears to have vanished. Once trust is broken, every conversation suddenly becomes suspicious. Every private meeting feels like a gamble. Every kind gesture comes with questions attached. Every phone call creates anxiety. Is it genuine? Is it strategic? Is it only temporary? Those doubts become nearly impossible to erase. And that is why the reported efforts to reconnect seem to crash into the same wall over and over again. The issue may no longer be anger at all. It may be confidence, and once confidence is shattered, rebuilding it becomes far harder than restoring affection.
With King Charles a couple months ago, when he let it be known through a source, wink, friend, wink, that, he would be happy to accept an invitation to Sandringham. But of course, he would only go if his wife and kids were there, and that.
Oh, yeah. And if there's full security paid for by people like me.
And if he knew who else was going to be there. So it's the same kind of BS that's happening.
The demands, the conditions, the negotiations, somehow those details keep showing up whenever talks of a possible return begin. But critics argue that genuine reconciliation rarely comes wrapped in a long list of requirements. And that is exactly why many royal watchers believe the family now views every new approach through a completely different lens. Instead of hearing an olive branch, they hear another transaction. Instead of seeing peace, they see leverage. Instead of seeing regret, they see strategy. Fair or unfair, that perception appears to have grown stronger over time. And once a perception becomes deeply rooted inside a family, turning it around becomes almost impossible.
Who wore the Nazi uniform and made those comments about his fellow soldiers, calling them packy heads and all the stuff that he did. He's actually the only racist in the family. And even that he hasn't taken responsibility for. He blamed that on.
Then comes what may be the most emotional chapter of this entire saga. According to persistent reports and commentary, what hurt William the most was not simply criticism aimed at him. It was anything involving Catherine. That is where the protective instinct reportedly took over completely. A husband can forgive attacks on himself. A future king can tolerate criticism. But when the person he loves becomes the target, everything changes. Suddenly, the conflict is no longer political, no longer public, and no longer strategic. It becomes deeply personal. And once that happens, every future conversation becomes filtered through pain instead of diplomacy. That may explain why the distance today feels greater than ever before. Not because time failed to heal the wounds, but because new wounds kept appearing before the old ones ever had the chance to fully close.
We all know people who have had cancer or who may not be here anymore because of cancer. And we also know their number one enemy is stress.
Yes.
So why would you invite stress again into your life, especially stress that you do not trust, that have proven in the past hyper untrustworthy? And not to mention, why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it